Hello, divine source being, human. It's Saint Imthrief Day, and welcome to another The Other Side podcast. Today we're going to be speaking on trauma. And before we get into it, as always, opening up the space, I'm setting the intention that I'm a clear, pure channel of the highest love, the highest light, the highest truth, and wisdom today, that as you exist in energetic space with me, you may receive the clarity, guidance, and vibrational support beneficial to you in your current incarnation towards embodying your fullest and freest self. I thank my spiritual team for helping me remain in energetic integrity and sovereignty as I channel. I'm also setting intention that I am channeling pure source energy. So if you want to receive this energetic transmission, simply just say yes in your heart. And you are always at choice, so you can say yes and no to start and stop receiving or not receiving throughout. Pure Source is unconditionally loving and rooted in light. And it is also not associated with any particular natural energy consciousness of joy or peace. This can be used for your higher self and your spiritual team to assist you in whatever way is beneficial to you. It's like giving someone a light versus giving them a specific color of light. You're giving them white light, which can be refracted into all the different lights and which can be used in whichever way. So, you're welcome. Awesome. Let's begin. So, y'all, I received this email on my email, and I'm trying to pull it up now. There we go. And this email was like, Harvard has associated past trauma, no matter how big or how severe, as directly correlated and linked to chronic health conditions. And it listed like 20 chronic health conditions: anxiety, depression, mind racing, chronic fatigue, cardiovascular problems, cancer, obesity, autoimmune disease, memory loss, inflammation, neurodegenerative disease, liver and kidney disease, hair loss, sleepless nights, etc., etc., etc. And so I read this and I was like, well, no, duh. As someone who has healed myself fully and completely from 15 plus chronic illnesses or health conditions, this was not a surprise to me. So I wonder why it showed up. And Source was like, well, it's time to talk about it, about the failings of our medical healthcare system, because they just got to the point where they've linked trauma to chronic health conditions, no matter how severe. And the thing is that if you are living in this world currently, you have experienced trauma, because our natural being as divine humans is to be in unconditional love, peace, joy, harmony. So these dysfunctional, oppressive systems that are the opposite of that, rooted in a history of oppression and violence, already connotates that one cannot be fully free, having been raised in that system and structures, until they can unravel and remove themselves from that framework. And so if you are alive, then you have experienced trauma of just being and living in this system until you are able to ascend past the current framework, right? Past what some folks call the matrix. But our medical healthcare system this Western medical healthcare system has just gotten to the point of linking trauma with chronic health conditions. And from a historical perspective, this is a no-duh, because many indigenous peoples who are actually the descendants of ancient civilizations that are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years old, tens of thousands of years old, knew this. In fact, I remember and recall reading about a particular shaman who was treating someone of depression and anxiety and is trying to pinpoint what exactly happened in their life to cause this. And the shaman asked, when did you stop singing? When did you stop dancing? To pinpoint that exact traumatic experience that created their current condition of being depressed, what we as this society would call depressed. Because one who sings and dances in the vibration of joy, and that is a high vibrational energy. And so these top so-called medical institutions of higher learning, quote unquote, these ivory towers of information are merely at the beginning of understanding what people and indigenous peoples have known for thousands and thousands of years. Trauma is energetic, and our energy, as above and so below, is merely, again, I will keep saying this, our physical matter, our physical beings is merely energy that is condensed into matter. Quantum physics shows this. This is scientific, y'all. And so we have not, as a society, gotten to a point, the Western society, of understanding that it's the past trauma, but even deeper than that, it's unresolved energetic imbalances that creates chronic health conditions in the physical body, as those energies are condensed and condensed and condensed. And this is not just past trauma. There's a reason why African Americans are known to have higher rates of things like lupus and inflammation and diabetes. It isn't just diet or nutrition or the lack of physical exercise. It is literally historical intergenerational trauma, historical and intergenerational unresolved energetic imbalances of oppression and violence and pain and hurt and grief. And under the sheer brutality of the Atlantic slave trade, of slavery. If you've ever lost a loved one, imagine losing millions of loved ones. Being taken away from your home, not being able to speak your language, your culture, having your identity ripped away from you, being treated as less than animal for hundreds of years. And so this energetic imbalances of the causation of the violence, the pain, the oppression lives in the DNA of those who had to experience and bear it, and then have children who then experienced it and bared it. And so it becomes intergenerational, it becomes epigenetic, which is the science of which genes are turned on depending on certain social factors or environmental factors. But we haven't gotten to the point, I say we, but science, Western science, hasn't gotten to a point of understanding that it is within the DNA, and the DNA is encoded by subtle energy. And so this intergenerational trauma lives in the energy, which tells the DNA and the codons which to fire, what to turn on, what to turn off, what to be expressed or what not to, which creates different chemicals within the body, which then impacts one's biology and physiology. And so it's a no duh when I read this, because I was like, well, because these energetic imbalances, because of traumatic experiences, whether it be in this lifetime or hundreds and hundreds or hundreds of years ago, or even thousands, y'all, tens of thousands of years ago, can be expressed in one's energetic body, inherited and seen in one's DNA. And again, this impacts not only one's physiology, your physical body, but impacts your memories, your belief systems. It impacts your thoughts and how you think and which thoughts are wired in which way. The literal grooves of your neural connections and the firing of the neurons. It impacts it all. And so this Western system, y'all, and I have a master's in public health, and I thought I was going to be a doctor, so I took a lot of science, okay? It's very focused on symptoms and treating things rather than understanding the core root and the causation, right? Moving better in a step towards prevention. But that's what we're moving towards as a society, is to understand that when you get to the root of something, everything then becomes resolved, rather you're playing whack-a-mole with your conditions and your diseases. You fix one thing and another thing gets fixed. I have a particular family member who was taking so many medications, and she was like, I'm so tired of drugs. And I was like, well, you don't have to take them. Your health isn't dependent on drugs. If I did it, you can do it too. But then not everyone's in the place to take that leap of understanding natural medicine. And I say natural because it is natural to who we are as humans. It is inherent. Our energy is inherent to us. Being able to utilize energy medicine is inherent to us, on top of physical herbal medicine, right? The ancients knew that it was a both and. It's not like you just do energy medicine and that's it. I practice holistic energy medicine. So it's a yes. Let's see what's going on and what's the root causation. Let's go into the quantum field and figure it out. And then let's see what we can do for the physical body to help shift that back into a state of balance, because healing is merely the return of balance into a system, to a return of homeostasis. And then let's see what else we can do socially and environmentally wise. And so Harvard has announced med school, past trauma, no matter how severe, y'all. And remember, if you are living in this modern world and you have not yet ascended or grown to a point where you can choose a different framework for yourself, you are impacted by the oppression and violence, because we are all just one collective consciousness. Think of it as a cloud, right? And every human being has its own link to the cloud. Y'all know okay. Google Cloud, Google Cloud exists all the time. You can go anywhere in the world and you can go to your drive and open up a document because it's all connected no matter what, because it exists. That is the same as the collective consciousness. Many of us are plugged into the same cloud. Some of us are outside the cloud, adjacent, but still looking into the cloud. And so, right now, my left eye is experiencing this thing where you have these, it's when your eyelashes shed, right? And they start to bother you. So some of you are going to be experiencing some communication. That is an omen, and I read omens. Okay. Back to Harvard Medical School. No matter how severe, if you have not yet removed yourself from the matrix, the current framework of the dominant culture, society, of the collective consciousness, then you are impacted by the conditionings and programmings that exist for even a subgroup So if you're a white-bodied person and you think, well, you don't experience racism, you are impacted by it because you are in the same pool of a cloud as those who are not white-bodied. And so that goes to the whole saying that, one person, if we are not all free, then no one's free. But that's not quite the truth. Because there are many people who have ascended or who have risen their vibration to a higher dimension where they are now vibrating at the place of unconditional love and peace and are literally in their own reality. Everyone creates their own reality. Every single human being is creating their own reality. And when there is a consensus of realities, that creates a bigger consensus of the outward reality. So on a consciousness level, if an energetic level, society says the sky is blue, then guess what? Everyone's going to start to perceive the sky is blue. But if at a consensus level, let's say the majority of people start to say, no, the sky is pink. Guess what, y'all? The sky will be perceived as pink. And so that all goes to say that this is the number one, y'all. The number one link to chronic health conditions is unresolved past trauma. And especially for those who are black-bodied, who are brown-bodied, who have a history of intergenerational violence and oppression, who have experienced that. This makes it doubly so, and this is shown by science. I mentioned lupus, but lupus and diabetes are not the only ones. Things like mental health issues, emotional. We don't talk about the emotional, but the emotional health issues, whether it be completely severing oneself away from their emotions and numbing out, or being emotionally dysregulated and all over the place and experiencing it all and not being able to control and be stable in one's emotions. And so again, the more traumatic events you experience in this lifetime and in other lifetimes, I didn't mention that, y'all, but we're not talking about just bloodline ancestors. We're also talking about souls. Your soul history, your soul. As a soul, everyone incarnates. And so you can carry that trauma through your soul, through your bloodline. And the more events you experience that are unresolved, that you carry with you into this lifetime increases. This is what Harvard says, increases dramatically your risk for mental and physical health problems. And especially if it occurs as a child and whatever ancestral, past, present, future timeline, because time is all at once. Everything exists now. Quantum physics shows this. And so even things like a troubled childhood, personal financial loss, emotional physical abuse, an accident, regret, fear, the pandemic, millions, billions of people experiencing trauma from a pandemic that has not been resolved in the collective consciousness. And I actually did a lot of transmuting for the collective consciousness regarding the pandemic during it, which was rough. And I'm glad not to be doing that anymore. But I was deep in the collective unconscious, or subconscious rather, shifting energies and shifting different energetic programmings around all the death and loss that occurred, but the very minuscule amount of healing and recovery that was needed and necessary. It's like the world returned back to quote unquote normal, but the trauma's still there. The energetic imbalances, they're shifting. They are. But, or rather, it's because of many folks who are doing the work. A lot of people are doing the work. And so these unresolved, shout out to my starseeds, unresolved traumatic experiences, or rather unresolved energetic imbalances, leave one feeling sick and tired and unable to really feel the higher vibrational energies that are your birthright, like joy and unconditional love and peace and harmony and abundance and prosperity. Because these are literally lower density energies, y'all. Traumatic experiences can often breed the lower density energies of pain and fear and grief and loss and shame and guilt and resentment and anger. And these are vibrating at a lower level. And when these become when these are imbalanced within the body and they begin to gather and gather and gather, it's like a big knot of dense, dark energy that begins to attract. Again, as above, so below. What's within you energetically will be expressed without external, physically, and in your external reality. So this is why it's important that one in the world pays attention to trauma. Trauma is the number one thing for this collective human experience to really get to the root of. And emotions. Emotions are so important. So many people compartmentalize their emotions, push them down, don't feel them because of this idea of what emotions are acceptable or not. Or they've been taught that because of what role they play or how they look or what status or whatever it may be, that they have to express their emotions a certain way. But the thing is, we are emotional beings. Emotions are meant to be expressed, and emotions are a way to tap into one's intuition, because we are predominantly water, and emotions is ruled by your sacral chakra, which is associated with water. You are predominantly water, my friend. The root of who you are is not earth, it is water. And so to not be in touch with one's emotions is not to be in touch with what is the greatest part of our human being, which is water, which is emotions, which is depth. So, it is important to be able to uncover and address the most overlooked root cause of chronic disease and mental illness and spiritual illness, mind, body, spirit, okay, is trauma. It is trauma. It is trauma. It is trauma. And whether it be because of racism, homophobia, religious intolerance, all of it is rooted in trauma. That's the root of it. When you get down to the energetic level, what is occurring now is the result of what was started hundreds of thousands of years ago in our human history. I know humanity has only said, humans started like a couple thousand years ago, but that's not true. And so on an energetic level, remember, Tesla said, all you need to know about the world is in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency, y'all. So from an vibrational standpoint, racism, homophobia, all of these things are at the same vibrational level. Same vibrational level. They are all lower density energies, no matter what it is you want to call it. No matter what intolerance it is. And so once you get to that vibrational frequential level, the difference between vibration and frequency, vibration is how fast something vibrates, and how fast something vibrates will emit a certain level of strength, which is gauged as the frequency. So it vibrates at a certain speed and then it emits a certain wave that creates a frequency. So it doesn't matter what the energy is, whether the energy of racism, the energy of homophobia, the energy of religious intolerance, the energy of shame, guilt. These are all vibrating at the same levels, creating the same frequency in your body. So the Western medicine system they're getting there, y'all. And very soon there will be a explosion of folks who are looking for other ways, and it's already happening, y'all, holistic ways to do their healing, to heal from their trauma. And on my journey, I've walked a 13-year path, y'all, starting with the typical therapy, psychiatry, medications, and then ending with coming into the fullness and wholeness of my being, fully healed. It took 13 years to learn and remember how to do it, and to master healing and understanding what healing actually means. I picked up a lot of things along the way. I picked up and understood from a holistic perspective, from a mind, body, soul, spirit perspective, what trauma meant and what healing meant. And so with that, I want to stop there. Close off, sending you off wherever, whenever you are. Take care. I invite you now to take 3 deep breaths from the stomach. From the nose, breathing in, and then as you breathe out from the mouth, inviting in now the natural energy consciousness of peace and calm. As you finish up your breathing, take care of yourself deeply, and I send you off with love and light, rooted in peace.